So you ready? We can start.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, Mr. Lomfambuda Una Kabo. Una good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the globe. Because Mina Ibrahim Sharif, like I know, would welcome you to Sherix television from wherever you are around the globe. Today, would bring you a special program where about our country, Sierra Leone, like how we can always do. And we bring you this program based on your request. You know, the request that we want to make to we because of concerns we want to get about we national security in the country. And so today we bring you this program for talk to the Office of National Security in Sierra Leone. But before that, we just lost one of our brothers, a police officer by the name of ASP, an Assistant Superintendent of Police for the Makeni area by the name of Matthew Moiwai Banya. We want for say, may his soul rest in peace. And of course, we stand with the police force as then they mourn this loss right now. Now we all the mourn. So may his soul rest in peace wherever he is right now. And so today we want for plenty of una want for know waiting at the job of the Office of National Security, especially that with the count close to election and you know a lot of violence be done they happen at the country. So plenty of una be done they ask questions as to waiting really the Office of National Security they do and waiting at the work of how then they relate to other people and way they work for security in Sierra Leone. So in order for us to talk on that issue today, we have in our midst no other person but the Deputy Director of Strategic Communications and Spokesperson for the Office of National Security in the person of Abdul Karim Will. Hello, Abdul. How are you doing, sir?
Thank you, Brother Sharif. I do fine. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to me people in Salon and in the diaspora, particularly the United States of America.
Right. So it's a delight to us for bring you today in our studio for talk to you about national security in the country. But before we even go further, plenty of people then go on for know you. Wouldn't you introduce yourself, sir?
Thank you again. My name is Abdul Karim Will. I'm a Deputy Director for Strategic Communications and I'm a spokesperson for the Office of National Security. I'm happy for there today because this time we made a program on this platform and I'm sure say you get a wider coverage and they give you the opportunity for talk to the brothers and sisters and when Sierra Leoneans and non-Sierra Leoneans but we get interested in Sierra Leone about waiting they happen as a loan and waiting as an institution or as a sector we do for the safety and security of people in our salon and they want the way get interest in Sierra Leonean issues.
Okay. Thank you very much for being here. I know say you're not a very busy person. In fact, then this year you not be the free to be in a put local area. This morning you did a meeting. So we really appreciate you for where you take time from your busy schedule for dinner. So plenty of people then go on for no waiting at the mandate of the Office of National Security. What do they do exactly for Sierra Leone?
Yes. Plenty thank you. Let us begin with how the Office of National Security came about. The Office of National Security is a post-conflict stabilization institution. Family like a member say Salon be going to war for 11 years and during that period during the war, after the war, we will learn a lot of lessons. And among the lessons we will learn, that with security system as Salon, we largely loose in the sense the security sector institutions, i.e. then the police and the Republic of Sierra Leone armed forces and any other appendage will really help them for provide security for Salon, they will function in silos. That means everybody will be doing your own business without preferencing the other. And so when we go into the war, it not only been difficult for them to pursue the war, but the war also become protracted and the consequences were very, very grave. This now because we've been find it difficult to able to give the requisite information to the authorities. And in that situation, it makes it difficult also for them for able to take informed decision or provide security for the people of Sierra Leone. So after the war, Salone government then and with international partners been thinks it was important for now we get a civilian institution who will provide coordination and oversight to the operations of the security sector. So in 2002, an act of parliament were entitled the National Security and Central Intelligence Act. We established the Office of National Security, primarily to function as the Secretariat for the National Security Council. The National Security Council, by the architecture, now the highest forum for the consideration of all matters relating to the security of Sierra Leone. And so the Office of National Security has an overall mandate and for provide secretariat support. So that council, the way that His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone at every given point, then a chairman of that council. By virtue of the engagement, you will get a field kind of a staffing to go provide them the day-to-day support or carry out their functions. So consistent with that, we overall mandate the ONS since the establishment about 2 decades and some years ago, don't provide the much needed oversight to the operations of the security sector. This is for ensure we get a coordinated response to all national security threats when they will call and waiting for prevent them de-escalating into something or degenerating into something that will be very, very much dangerous for the security of Sierra Leone. But specifically, which I don't talk so now with generic functions, but to get specific functions. This act where the talk so we established the Office of National Security in 2002, don't be recently reviewed this year. So that the National Security and Central Intelligence Act of 2023 will all repeal and replace the old one. Now will be a make reference to now. Sections 18 and 19 of that act it mandate the ONS to serve as a principal advisor to His Excellency the President on all matters relating to the security of Sierra Leone. The Office of National Security will be headed by the National Security Coordinator. And by virtue of that fact, the National Security Coordinator will provide the overall leadership and guidance for the operations of the office. So in this regard, the National Security Coordinator and the chairman of the National Security Council Coordinating Group. Remember, I mentioned just now, the National Security Council, the highest forum for the consideration of all matters for security in Salone. Beneath that committee we get several other committees at national and decentralized levels. We get the National Security Council Coordinating Group, we get the Joint Intelligence Committee, we get the Joint Maritime Committee, and we get the PROSEX, the DISEX, and the CHISEC. The PROSEX are the Provincial Security Committee, DISEC are the District Security Committee, and CHISEC are the Chief of Security Committees. We get the one there where the Office of National Security, for example, the NS Code, nine are chairperson of the National Security Council Coordinating Group, who are the working body for the National Security Council. He also the chair of the Joint Intelligence Committee, will bring together all of the intelligence heads within the security sector to a meeting on a weekly basis. Then he also the chair the Joint Maritime Committee, where now the committee will responsible for provide security and coordination for within the obtain within the waters of Sierra Leone.
Okay.
The Office of National Security also provide intelligence coordination and information. We means where people collect intelligence, when they collect security information that the ONS they process and disseminate for operationalization. Several other things and they will do, including preparation of a national security policy for the Republic of Sierra Leone, and including also providing licenses for the operations of private security companies.
Okay, so yeah, we will come to that one day. So, if I get you clearly, the Office of National Security is the head of all security apparatus who will get in the country. Am I right?
You're right, yes.
Okay, so meaning that I want to coordinate. So, when it comes to national security, waiting na the specific relationship between una na ONS and the police force, the military, I know say you don't talk on this, the military, the police force, and even the Ministry of Internal Affairs. How una can do una job, how una can coordinate security issues?
So we are an early warning and early response institution. But primarily we function for coordinate the sector. Remember, say we are start to talk say we secure the system before the war, before the establishment of the Office of National Security. Now one we lose, it means say everybody will function the way how you want for do it. But with the new arrangement, it means say we all for prepare, we for do things in together for maximize the welfare and security of the people of Sierra Leone. So we they provide the platform who side all of the sector players that can meet. We prepare what we call national threat assessment, and we develop critical information requirements. We mean say after we don't do with threat analysis, we don't collect with threat indicators, we don't do analysis. We also develop requirements as to which area for collect information or intelligence on. And you remember, say I also talked about the various committees, security committees where they exist. When are then committees and they will bring all of the relevant players within the security sector. And in this case now we get the military, the police, other civilian agencies, government ministries, departments and agencies, including the Ministry of Internal Affairs. So either on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a fortnightly basis, on a quarterly basis, we get them meetings and they run simultaneously across the entire gamut of the society. It's not at the district level, at the district level or the provincial and national level.
Right. So in other words, if there is an imminent threat where Sierra Leone face as a country, the expectation is that ONS now enforce they gather information before the other security apparatus then get them. Is that right?
So we get operatives.
Yeah.
Intelligence and information operatives across the length and breadth of Sierra Leone.
Okay.
Now, all of them committees, the way I don't mention, we get aspects of intelligence, we get aspects of information.
Okay.
And so at every level, at every layer, somebody gets a responsibility for trigger any imminent threat, any potential threat to the safety and security of the country. So
then people and then are civilian them or people within the security forces.
So we get people within the security forces. Then we also get civilians which they serve as agents or sources for the respective intelligence collecting agencies. Okay. So when they trigger certain things with the access, depending on the magnitude, it can be resolved at a localized level, chiefdom level, for example, if you fall within the limits, if you fall within a strength or capacity, or it can be cascaded to the district or region or national, depending, like I say, on the magnitude of the threat.
So for example, let us say, like how would be done they understand for say we get certain people that are the diaspora where then they incite people that are Sierra Leone for involving violence, involving activities that where they pose national security threat. When Unaki don't get that kind of information and they would really they act on force.
So depending on who are involved, depending on who are get a responsibility for carrying out certain mandates, and we determine who will send that kind of information there. But don't forget, say, we are principal advisors to His Excellency the President on security issues. And so when we get there one day, we get a tendency for degenerate into violent conflict as a result of somebody in activities where they either within the jurisdiction or outside of the jurisdiction. Depending on whether for acts, we will go into action. We get a joint coordination center, then the operational wing of the security sector. Something and when a threat whether within we reach within the country, we can take action using we own assets and resources. Now what we get for do with neighboring country, we can work with Interpol for ensure say if not culprits, if not people don't commit offenses now and go over to neighboring Guinea or Liberia as the case may be, or any other side within West Africa or Africa itself, we came for now, we don't do that operation on several occasions. But we mentioned very critical one. We get for do with the misuse of social media by some of the Sierra Leonean brothers and sisters really abroad. And then they do so banking on the gullibility of some section of the youth then as alone. Either some thinking they because the youth them trust say anything will come out from somebody in the diaspora and the Bible and the Quran and they go and execute them. Or something they that actually they entice them with money, then they give them handouts or carry out the directives as the case may be. So when that kind of thing they happen, as if done they happen over the period since maybe 2018 after the election, to don't see the kind of a surge in the proliferation of social media broadcasters. Whilst we welcome positive broadcasts until we go bring development for the country, but we equally also abhor that situation. We say people they make deliberate efforts for foment trouble back home. We don't do assessment on some of them kind happenings in there. Bring account to the relevant authorities, particularly in this case, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, for see how we go for work with partner countries, who say them people in there, whether not the United States of America, whether not the Republic of the Netherlands, whether not Australia, anywhere, as we may have it. For see how, first of all, we will forget a dialogue for discourage them with brothers and sisters in there, for refrain from them dangerous acting what they do. Because over the period, time and again, them misinformation or disinformation, yeah, they hate speech they send. It don't lead to violent confrontation between civilians and security sector institutions when they go about their normal activities. Somebody go sit abroad and tell the public for confront them.
So like you talk about how we can work with the president. Of course, we know say the president now the commander in chief, and so for security business now the number one. So how often when our office they brief the president on security issues in the country?
Very, very often. We get an unfettered access to His Excellency the President. The National Security Coordinator by the arrangement, including in colleagues for the security sector institutions, the IGP, the Director for Central Intelligence Agency, the head of corrections, the head of the military, and the brief His Excellency the President on a weekly basis. But the National Security Coordinator, the brief His Excellency the President on every happening on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, depending on the prevailing circumstance. Like I say, there is no barrier because security matters are one that we very much crucial, maybe the most cardinal thing for the enhancement of development, for the enhancement of the progress of the country. And so His Excellency the President gets an open door to the National Security Coordinator anytime, anywhere, at every given point. We give briefings to His Excellency the President. After we go done collect information, we do analysis assessment because we get all of the teams in, we get all of the personnel they do them here for the attention of the National Security Coordinator and for the further attention of His Excellency the President, for the attention and maybe indirectly on waiting for happen. So we get an unfettered access on a daily basis when they talk to the president.
Okay. So in other words, when I not get like a set schedule, waiting when I get now, when I report to the president, when I brief the president on an as needed basis, just like when something happen, when I need for inform when I not get like a regular schedule.
No, we get a regular schedule.
Okay.
Every Monday, come rain, come shine. The National Security Coordinator, they do security briefings to His Excellency the President. That na the statutory schedule. But beyond that, because we know say security issues are fluid issues, nothing we can happen anytime. Room day also for brief the president any other time.
Okay.
But whether something happen, whether something not happen, whether positive, negative, the National Security Coordinator, in collaboration with incumbent now the security sector institutions, they brief His Excellency the President every Monday.
Okay. So you know say from 2018 where we don't get elections na Sierra Leone, this president don't sit down in power. Plenty skirmishes that don't happen at the country, some of which really they border on the national security of the country. And plenty of people the way they view this station from around the world, they be done send we information as to waiting the Office of National Security don't do, specifically for able for take some steps then, either before the incident happen, una know bottom, or during the time where they happen, waiting una they do, and even after, because like the August 10 investigation, up to now, we have not had any report. So how una can able coordinate the incident? The people that want to know, if una can know about the incidents before then they happen, and when they can happen, wait till make the reports and not can come out.
So thank you very much. Very critical and important question. Because to the lay person, to the ordinary person, it will really be difficult for them to understand why it is that when I don't hear pillars of the people and wanting to go into riots, into confrontation, prior to that date what they can do and actually prevail over that kind of situation, and it did happen. But the reality now that prior to August 10, or even before August 10, the same set of Sierra Leoneans when they are abroad use the Android phones, sit at comfort zones abroad, and call on the youthful population, taking advantage of the level of capacity or incapacity for access information, or do analysis on information what they receive. When them thing and they come, we realize it is a problematic. We get then kind information and they. What do we do? We embark on sustainable engagement with the entire population as a whole. Prior to August 10, August 8, August 9, or even August, even sometimes around June, I then almost every media house across Sierra Leone appeal to we young people then on the need for let them function within the provisions of the law, or the need for let them know adhere to calls we go put them in harm's way, or the need for them let them know fall for cheap propaganda we people let do. Beyond engagement at the traditional media, we also do social media posts. We do press releases. We go to communities. We not only be limited to Freetown. We also cascade the same information, the same themes and messages to every corner of Sierra Leone.
But it look like say Abdul, it look like say then strategies that they use for communicate on this issue and not don't work it, because when I don't use traditional media, when I don't do community engagement, community announcement, but they seem not to be working because the violence they still continue. So waiting at the next strategy.
So first of all, let me say, then they appear not for work because
at least in certain parts of the country, not to all sides.
Yes, because not some side of the country. Because a certain category of people then they do that one day. And they do it for some kind of a motive for maximize their political interests and taking advantage of the fact that no matter what me and you talk to that category of people that we don't believe say if them politicians and tell them this, nothing else not going for deviate their attention from what they don't hear. It will be difficult for convincing people, and if some thinking there, then they even pay less attention to what they tell them, and give much more credence to what the leaders and they tell them. Even in engagement, we don't only be targets the youth, them the people who will be potential victims or perpetrators of that kind of activity. We also go to moral guarantors. We also even engage the political parties. That this we don't get wind of them, we don't get evidence of them, but we not get a moral responsibility for provide guidance onto our constituents.
So what we not tell them that one day, if they're not able for provide or for comply with waiting when they talk as Office of National Security, when I don't tell them, say when people then, when I follow us then they engage in violence, now this then they do, now that then they do, they against the national security interest of the country. but they're not they abide by them. So what does the ONS do if they not comply?
So the perpetrators then go get for face the consequences of the law. Then we go relate with them, not as members of any political or any whatever grouping. We dey deal with them as individuals who commit offenses against the state. And beyond them, if we see say anybody being there behind that kind of action day, we get the ocular proof say indeed now this person has sponsored this group or this X number of people for do that kind of thing a day, then they self not go be spared at all. And if you follow after the August incident or even before the August incident, after we don't get the various engagements, we do some arrest of people then who gets evidence against of having perpetrated or being aiders to then violent confrontations will be happen. Some they don't be sentenced, some they still undergo trials because some of the things that will be happen. They're so heinous that you want for really piece all of the evidence together for sure. Say if you now say this person may be responsible for the deaths of civilians or for the death of police officers, you actually able to prove that beyond reasonable doubt. So now that one day, yes, you mentioned also what are the strategy going forward. We find out then traditional engagements, either face-to-face engagement, either television or radio engagement or newspaper or even the thing that they post on the website. Now one still they find the way only to the group of people who actually not go even do that thing one let people not do. We also embark on robust social media campaign because it appear let's say social media become the platform inside people then they do a lot of mischief. Then they do a lot of things for destabilize the country. And they do so for a purpose. Some people they want to become famous. They want to become popular. Or some people they actually do it because they get paid for doing what they do. And sadly, the reality is that because they are abroad, the laws will not be the same with how they function in Africa or in Sierra Leone. They almost they appear say they get it with some of them. Just thing they do for call on people and for go into illegal demonstrations or assemblies. We always don't say demonstrations, protests are part of the democratic process. And we recognize that fully. But we say beyond demonstrations, beyond the right for due assemblies or freedom of expression, we also get responsibilities. Now, Salon, for example, we get laws just like any other country. Right, human rights, not to one the way limitless. If you want to go into demonstrations, when are you right? The law equally say you get a responsibility for inform the police and sit down with the police and get an agreement. If you just do demonstrations with faceless, then that one day you not get any place now in modern day of a democratic governance. Because that one day go mean say you get for trample upon the rights of other people who don't want to go into the demonstrations. You get for trample upon the rights of people the way you perceive as your opponents. You can also even create a situation where it will be difficult for the security sector provide the much needed policing where you require for let the event be carried out peacefully in a conducive atmosphere.
Right.
For all of this when they talk, a whole lot of things for some other motives, then they can encounter all of the wise counsels. Now it can lead to them thing where they happen. So
Mr. Will, the whole thing here is this. Elections are around the corner. Several violence don't happen at the country where people that don't lost their lives, both civilians and police officers. Then quite recently on Easter weekend, they don't fatally kill a police commander, Makeni. So people do not see an end in sight for the violence the way they happen at the country. And if now an office responsible for making sure that the people in the country are secured, so they are saying to us that we are not they do a job. So wetin una go do we go able for fast track? You know, because right now plenty people and they even blame the president for saying the president not able to secure the people then, and this falls on your office. So wetin una dey do quick one right now for make sure say this kind of violence where they happen at the country it not continue, it not repeat itself, and that the people are at ease for make them vote in the coming elections.
Brother Sherif, not justifying anything that happened at Salone, but I want to state say every society gets its own challenges.
Right.
And Salone is a very small country. And we also don't see that some of them how they happen, they actually concentrate in a particular parts of the country.
Right.
So it only means say, even though it's concerning that it happened at them parts, some parts of the country, but that not mean say security don't degenerate into an alarming proportion. Several other parts, 90% or more of Sierra Leone peaceful. People they go about their normal business, and even who side that thing and they happen so. So I'm thinking they now isolated incident. Not to all of them people already in that community they go resonate with them happening and they now Makeni, for example, you mentioned the kill of a senior police officer. Not to everybody. In fact, what thing them people and they want for succeed for do now for create confusion among we the secret sector institutions so that we will begin for suspect each other. Somebody they suggest say something and company and kill herself and that kind of thing. Or for give the impression say everybody na Makeni, na bad person, na person way anti-police, na person way go ready for kill policeman and that kind of thing. Or for actually even deviate your attention from the realities on the ground. ASP Banya where they kill so, na a crime buster, na person way we don't bring sanity to the Makeni community. If you talk to the average stakeholder na Makeni, it will tell you say the level at which armed robbery, criminalities, the taking of a dangerous drugs will happen in Makeni. If you don't minimize with the coming of an ASP Banya, because if you take a head on, for see that it call violence and restore sanity to Makeni for the benefit of the majority of the people in Makeni. You're not going to be unconnected to that in robust posture there. Unless somebody will feel, say, this person is a threat to me survival, a threat to me inimical or dangerous activity that I do, or do that kind of thing when they don't do so. But since a subject of investigation, we go do everything within we pass for ensure we bring culprits to book. And then people and we do so, Nemesis will catch up with them, they're not going to go free. We will use all of the intelligence assets, all of the assets at our disposal for bringing accountable. Because Iran, we shock, we sadden exceptionally that if somebody will get the infantry or do that kind of thing there. Now cowardice and they behave that kind of way.
Right.
Now people mean well for society and they behave that kind of way. But for assure the public that we they do all of what we do within we pass for ensure we provide for the safety and security of Sierra Leone and the country safe, the country secure. Like I say, it happen at several communities. Who say we get a community where we get a youthful population we just think say people if can chop at the table. They forgive and handouts. They don't believe in the concept of some politicians giving them pittance, not providing them the opportunity for them to actually become self-reliant. When they feel that it is not their they work in their interest, then they take into criminality.
So Mr. Will, so definitely it's an open secret for say after 2018 elections in the country, most of the violence we don't happen in Sierra Leone has been concentrated in the stronghold of the main opposition All People's Congress. That one day, all man know that one day. For saying at that side and they just like I said don't talk. I mean, so and we know say people then they in politics within the APC per se, where now then they use the vulnerable youths for do this kind here. So those are the kind of people when me feel say the ONS supposed for bring to book because you already have an idea. Let some people then explain waiting they go on at their own stronghold. You know, I don't know if they think that way. They.
So we don't get engagements across the board. And I know I'm for because I'm not getting the ocular proof on my hand for make sweeping allegation.
Right.
But also for only target the people and we actually dig into that kind of events. And you know that mean The people who now we custody, the people who can come in contact with, who will investigate, for example, we don't deal with them as people who belong to political party. We don't deal with them as people who belong to a particular region. We deal with them as people who don't commit offenses against the state.
Right.
In all of our engagements with all of the leaders, the stakeholders, now for appeal to them for, say, if the intention now for see Sierra Leone develop, then you get for ensure say you play your own part positively for let that one happen. If you do things underground for undermine the peace and security of the country, they say waiting they go around, they come around. It will get for also equally before you. For example, we get a notorious Sierra Leonean within one of the countries abroad, where over a period, all of in concentration, for rain invectives on people already in authority. Therefore, concentrate hate speech against certain people in certain regions as alone. We don't get several engagements on the need for whosoever they behind that kind of thing. They very much straight for Sierra Leone. We don't want to see this kind of thing happen as alone. So alone, wait near you to know. Now, one may get respect for leaders.
So when I don't get clue as to whether they behind that particular person, because we know the person where they talk about.
Yeah, so this person here, when we be they do their engagement and say this is what this person will do, they cost people them, cost the president, cost him wealth, cost people away in governance, cost people them when are even people them when are civil servants because of the role that they play and that kind of thing. They not seem for resonate well with some people. Today, as I talk now, this same person don't turn in venom against the same people that we maybe if they talk for. So now the thing this way they can say no man snake and get an eye host because you want for let it bet your enemy. If you not get an enemy for bet or you feel offended, it will turn in venom against you or against members of your family.
So Mr. Wade, what thing when they do as Office of National Security, what thing when they do about certain groups them where they portray themselves as security within political parties? We get a group right now they look at on the screen when are the marshals. I don't know if we don't ever hear about the marshals. What thing when I don't do about them?
Oh yes. So marshalism now one way outlawed nas alone. We don't put a band on them, and we still stand firm on the non-existence of marshals within political parties. Let me just give you an analogy. Sometimes back, marshalism will appear like say it complements the role of the security sector institution. When political parties they get events, especially major events, then they get able-bodied men and women where they help the delegates them, for example, for a conference, for direct them to waiting for do, wait to send them for go, and that kind of thing. So they label themselves as marshal people away like ushers into the activities of political parties, intra-political party activities. But as time progresses, we begin to say, then they get a military posture. Then they become a kind of a paramilitary to the extent that they begin to get the infantry for stop with personnel them from functioning within the activities of the political party. Say, for example, police go provide security. They say, no, now you for stop, you don't for go beyond there, that kind of thing. Where it actually supposed to be the opposite. Then they also became a nemesis in their political parties themselves. They form themselves into factions. And the politicians, some politicians, and they use them to a very good effect for better their own lot. Say, if this group of marshals there and this other person, when they come, even though a stakeholder within that same political party, but if not an enemy, perceived opponent of me boss, we know they allow for like can I get access to this office. It don't happen over time. So the sector, looking at the dangers whether they portend, we will summon all 17 registered political parties. The National Security Coordinator at the Office of National Security, Mr. Abdullah Kolka, will summon all 17 political parties to a meeting. And in addition to them political parties, we will call civil society, we will call political parties registration commission, whether the commission is responsible for the regulation of activities of political parties. We call all of the relevant stakeholders to a room, Nayana, Office of National Security, for say, then we discuss objectively the role of these political party marshals in the security landscape of Sierra Leone. We extensively discuss them, and we all see the enormity of the existence of a political party marshals within political parties. You know, they not only they serve as a threat to the internal or to the opposite relationship between them and other political parties, but they even become more dangerous within political parties themselves. So we all agree unanimously for now we put a ban onto the existence of political parties across the length and breadth of Sierra Leone for all registered political parties.
Okay, so as far as this present time is concerned, that ban is in effect. You know, so the marshals are not supposed to operate.
They're not supposed to operate.
Okay,
on several occasions, we don't see situations like if marshals and then as communities we get rid of them, we go arrest them and bring them before the law.
Okay. So the other problem in the security sector where plenty of people they complain about is the lack of resources for the security officers, especially the police. You know, like when me say be they free to the drive, I see where police stop a particular driver for inspecting motorcar. The driver not turn up, it just continue for go. And the police turn up, and not get vehicle for Falaram, and not get anything for Falaram. And apart from that, even the basic resources that where the police they need for make them become effective security officers, they not get them. So is this part of the consideration of ONS for say, if we want these people to properly protect the people of Sierra Leone, that these are the resources they need and we have to provide them?
Indeed, lack of resources or the non-abundance of resources are a challenge for a post-conflict country like Sierra Leone, especially a developing one too. But I go on for talk say now the lack of abundance of resources. They get basic gadgets, they get basic implements, logistics where they carry out their functions. But even who say you get the wherewithal, it becomes difficult. Who say you don't get most of the thing where you require, it becomes even much more difficult than you would imagine. So what we can do for every period within a calendar year, we conduct what we refer to as needs assessment. But specifically for major events like what we get at hand, the elections what we talk about, we conduct needs assessment for the security sector players. Waiting now the requirements, waiting are the thing the way they waiting for do for augmentative day, and waiting for even do for ensure say we enhance their capacity, not only about physical gadgets, but even also the training for letting them carry out their functions and carry them out very well.
So Mr. Will, make a certain example. You know, make a certain example. We are not comparing the Sierra Leone police to American police. But you see what the American policeman don't dress down. They get one belt with the tie in like middle. That belt, they get basic stuff then Panam. They get handcuff there, they get torchlight, they get baton, they get pepper spray, they get ropes them, they get baton, they get things them where they use for defending self, and no matter how many people then come. And then they are not cost more than $2,000 per person. So I don't know if ONS be don't they think say, you know, let us see how we can protect the police, because the police are now dying in their massive numbers. And after when they don't kill the police now Makeni, the guy them really can't talk say, then just begin. And when you see they don't talk, so we know say then they can plan for do another one. So have you guys been thinking about, you know, trying to provide these resources for the police officers?
Yes, like I say, and with needs assessment exercises what they conduct, the responsibility on the police operatives on the ground, but then they tell you waiting at the requirements. Okay. This information about the black belts, the police officers that the US put at the middle, now one way contains so many things. Now one way that is a very useful one. And we go take them on board. Even if I don't mention them, if I didn't have session a day, I go whisper them at the ears of the National Security Coordinator so that we can go this way for ensure say we provide them that kind of thing, because that is important. Whilst they provide security for the people of Sierra Leone, they also equally get life. And if they don't become subject of attacks because of their roles, because of their responsibilities, now one even more concerning. But don't forget, say for wheel the baton anywhere, every time, now one way very difficult. Especially when you get people away, their own business are for perpetrate crime and for perpetrate violence. When police come into for question their activities, then go on for target the police.
So, Mr. Will,
So,
the
yes,
other
sir.
area back we've been concerned with a little bit now, then private security license when they give people them. So let we assume say when I don't disband the marshals, but the marshals then go form themselves into another group now. They say then a private security, then cancel una, they say let una give them license. Waiting at the vetting process, waiting when I go do, we go make when I really discover say this not to underground group then they perform for do something, but they are real about national security.
Okay, in addition to what I get for Kano State, that also refer the public, maybe they will be interested, we get to act online, www.ons.gov.sn, then our website, we get all of the documents what I for mention online, so somebody can go there and even forget very rich information. So section 31 of the National Security and Central Intelligence Act of 2023 they give responsibility to the Office of National Security for provide licenses and supervision to all private security companies who function within the shores of Sierra Leone. So before somebody gets the license for operate as a private security company, they have to go through a lot of rigorous checkings. So it's very difficult for somebody easily infiltrate the system and can't get a private security company operating. One, in the first place, before you can approach the Office of National Security, you get to get a memorandum of association. They call it M&A. You get to register with the Corporate Affairs Commission. You get to register with NRA. You get to register with Freetown City Council and Freetown they operate as a national private security company you have to do. If you have to do it at the provinces, you register with the various councils. You get to get a whole lot of documents. Where they want and day before you go through and get all of them documents and each of the institutions they get a check-in process, they get a checklist for check A, B, and C if you meet the threshold of the requirements for operating private security. And then you now will come to the Office of National Security, they do a letter. Say, I want to operate a private security company. To the National Security Coordinator, they address that letter. After you don't write that letter, the National Security Coordinator will now ask you for submit all of the documents I would not mention so just now to the Directorate for Vetting and Protective Security. These directorates now they work in collaboration with the intelligence agencies of the security sector institutions for do background check on A, the people who have for establish the company, B, the address, or look at the work history, or look a criminal background. They even go to police, for example, and check on the fingerprints of the people that will be the CEOs or whatever managers of that proposed company. If along the line it is noticed that this person may get this kind odd background, then it's not going to be advised for be given a private security company license. Of course, we get one the winner international people in the operator, and we get one the winner locals. So depending on the strength of the people who establish the company, they can either make you be class A, class B, or class C private security company. But
so like how when una don't finally issue them the license, when I get any monitoring mechanism when they use for monitor the activity after when they in operation now?
Very much so.
Okay.
So we give a brochure where they serve as a guide onto the operations. And that make part of the vetting process. If it's a national entity, or means you want to forget offices in all of the regions and all of the districts, for example. We get forget evidence of their offices existing, and that make with colleagues within at the provinces, then they be kept in the loop for this kind process, so that if this company say they operate in Filter, they operate in Makeni, they operate in Bo, they operate in Kenima, we're able for actually physically verifying address, for talk to a staff the way you get there, for look at the office space if it's conducive enough, and for look at which services they provide to which entity. We they monitor all of them in collaboration with other institutions, because when they operate private security companies, they employ people who are Sierra Leoneans. Okay. So issues of labor they also come into the picture. If along the line we detect say one day in default of actually even existing as a real private security company, then we advise for the withdrawal of that license and ban you from operating.
Okay, so
We also advise.
where then people that where
Yes.
they work in government itself, the civil servants, other people that will get access to sensitive national information or security information, how una can vet them? Una can, you know, you don't have to explain the details, but I just want to know if the vetting process is rigid in such a way that una comfortable for say once una don't make somebody don't get security clearance, that person not gonna be a threat to to the nation.
So the National Security and Central Intelligence Act of 2002,
Mm-hmm.
we just done be repealed in 2023.
Right.
It will give discretion to employing agents or agencies for bring the staff list or the potential employees to the ONS for vetting. But the new repeal act don't say if you employ people in a certain category of leadership in your entity, you get a responsibility for bringing this information to the attention of the Office of National Security for vetting. So far, before now be at the discretion of the agency and then they initiate the process. We employ 10 people in this category. You will get a level, not to everybody, because if we say now every employee will not get access to sensitive information that one for vet, then will be difficult. But if that person whilst in that office they don't claim to certain position when need for be vetted, then that name they for be sent to the Office of National Security, must be sent to the Office of National Security for vetting. And when they do the vetting, will they take into consideration all aspects of the person, from the time they university or even before you go university, the community, what they do, what in work history, what in criminal history, and all of that. If we find out say this person, now one we get a lot of question marks, we will give you appropriate advice to that entity there as to why they not for get that position there, or why in fact they not for make get access to certain classified documents. So the vetting process are one way rigid, but I must consider that before now, now be at the discretion, because if they are at the discretion of the employing authorities, it will be difficult for them we know who that don't get access to waiting, who that don't get this kind of position and waiting it do in that position there. But with the new repeal act, we expect say companies are now, employing authorities are fulfill obligated for inform the Office of National Security about their kind of development then, whether not private or public. For public, now a must. For private, it's at the discretion. But when they do so, then they do so to the benefit of the agencies. Otherwise, they will do so at their own detriment, because you might be having somebody that's an insider that's a threat to the security of the organization and the country.
Exactly, yeah. So the investigation into the killing of ASP Banya, how far that investigation don't go now? Yeah, you don't have to explain the details, but we just want to know if it go as planned.
It will go as planned. Already we get a number of people in the custody where they help with the investigations. Okay. But as we go along, if we find out, say, among the people that don't get, they don't get anything for do with that incident day, then we'll go let them go. But beyond that, we don't deploy assets them all over USA. We think say we require information relating to the death of that senior police officer, one of the finest within the Sierra Leone police force. One way committed to a duty, one way go hardly hurt a fly, if not to a fly way mischievous. Because I must say, because of a robust posture for assure and maximize the welfare and security of people across the country. This supposed to don't serve the UN, supposed to don't work on various deployments. In all of the Sierra Leone don't deploy.
So Mr. Will, the August 10 investigation, we have not heard anything from the ONS or from government about it, and this they make people then jittery. So when we go hearing from ONS about the August 10 investigation?
We want to continue for appeal to members of the public. Indeed, I consider say it don't take. But for an event of that nature, now one way require thorough work. Because now about the deaths of police officers. In fact, the number don't increase to 7. I mean 6 initially. 1 million sustained serious injury. He recently died. Many souls rest in peace, and I want to take this opportunity for expressing condolences to the bereaved families of them police officers, including civilians who lost their lives needlessly in that carnage day. But that investigations, they almost at the completion stage. We piece together all of the evidence. We will go right down every corner of Sierra Leone, so we require information. But first of all, establish what will be the motivation of the people within the community for killing them police officers. What will be the existing relationship between them and the security sector institutions? What will be the thing that will be happen? Well, maybe the August 10 incident or the 8, 9, and 10 incident that will just make a trigger for letting people do what they do so. But I have for state say we don't do a lot. We don't make several efforts. The committee already is set together, and one way get people away thorough, and they want to do a thorough job. And like I say, very shortly, that report will be presented to His Excellency the President for the attention of members of the public. And it comes with recommendations as to waiting not for do going forward.
And so, talking about the resources then what the police officers then need for do their job, I think say this is very key. People that really feel say the police officers are under-resourced and they need resources for do their job. So is on behalf of the ONS, are you making a promise that you go table them with the bosses now ONS and that you go reach the president for say they really need this?
I shall say, I want to assure you say the president also equally very much aware and concerned about this kind of thing. If we get the wherewithal, we go under with police officers and get the best of gadgets. Because the rope way they do, now one way it's difficult for compensation. So indeed, the Office of National Security to make representation would, to the Ministry of Finance for ensure say waiting police they ask for in terms of logistic support, in terms of welfare, and that kind of thing be provided. We will continue to make their engagements indeed. But like I say, you don't give me so much clue as to which other pathway we need for pursue, including the kind of a gadget we need. I will bring this to the attention of the National Security Coordinator, for the attention of the leadership of the various security sector institutions for ensuring we provide what they need. But in the midst of all of the challenges, a lot of efforts will be made over the period for provide the basic and requisite thing that what they need for police, for carry out their policing functions.
So finally, elections are coming in June of this year. Waiting ONS go tell the people of Sierra Leone about their security. Will they be secured to go out there to vote?
Even before I go to assuring the public about safety and security concerns, I want to state say, as a sector, we're mindful say elections, particularly general elections like this one, now one of the major events we engage in after every 5 years. And so for a virtue of that fact, we can get research prepared earlier than any other entity. So the National Security Council in 2012, we established an integrated election security planning committee. People like informed we call it the IESPC. This committee is a multi-sectoral committee, bring together all mainstream security sector players, civil society, and other people from other government ministries, departments, and agencies, with the mandate to provide coordination, direction, and do assessment of electoral needs for particularly security sector players. This committee, been like some 1 year, 6 months ago, we go right down the 16 electoral districts for conducting to refer to district risk mapping, threat assessment of the potential problems, the potential spoilers, the stakeholders who will need for use the experience and leverage on that. Ensure will provide the much needed security for the elections and the people of Sierra Leone. If we don't do so, and then it will lead you to the development of key documents, a strategy for the election, a manual for training with personnel them, and a communication strategy for reach out to members of the public. Currently, with the cascade, that will roll out all of them documents and for your officers. You mentioned in the discussion, say, I've been there somewhere and I could lock off. Now, the one of the engagements and they will be there in, what they do now, the regions and for training officers them, so that they will get the professionalism what they require for police election. We your responsibility for provide physical security. ECSL, the Electoral Commission for Salona, they get the administrative aspect of the conduct of the elections. So we have to assure the people of Sierra Leone that in this business, we all get to roles and responsibilities. If the civilians and perform their own functions within the provisions of the law, they will go to the home and dry. If we in the security sector do your own functions within the provisions of the mandates and we establish, then we are going to have a peaceful election. Everybody that the appeal landed, if we all do we all functions in the correct way, then we will get a very peaceful election. But beyond that, even we say people are going for attend for the stop the process, we go assure the public say we get requisite manpower capacity, we get the requisite training we don't invite new officers for sure to respond to their challenges, including skills relating to conflict mitigation, conflict resolution, and all of that one. Because in this election, not with intention to arrest everybody, we want for ensure say we get engagement, sustainable engagement.
Yeah, Mr. Will, you don't make the point. One for say plenty thank you to you for your time today. Not say you're not a busy person, but you don't share some valuable information with we today. And we know say you will go to work, and inform the bosses at ONS that the country, people are becoming a little concerned with national security. So hopefully it will improve. We want to say plenty thank you to you for your time with us. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Right. Bye. Okay, hold on.